I'm life and business coach Samantha Sivring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Welcome, everyone. I am so happy to have you all on the podcast today. I would love for you to introduce yourselves, to let everybody know who you are and what you do.
I'm Darlynn Childress, and I am a parent coach, and I help moms feel calm and stop yelling.
Hi, everyone. So I am Kate Saffel, and I am a life and business coach for mamas who want to create lives that they love.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adrienne Hello. I own a farm and vineyard in Northern California. So I have a baking business. Cooking is how I love people. And I have a coaching business. Coaching is how I help people. And my coaching business is called Recipe for Life. And my baking business is called Urban Dreamer.
And everyone needs to follow your Instagram so they can see the food porn.
There's a lot of food porn.
It's my favorite.
Hey everybody, my name is Raeanne Lacatina. I am a holistic business coach, and I work primarily with business owners and professionals who are looking to obtain and work towards the greatest expression of who they are, both personally and professionally.
Okay, so I've assembled all of you, all my mastermind students, to talk about making a return on your investment. This is something that I talk about so much in the mastermind. It's something I really think about a lot as the leader of that group, thinking about what's the return I want you to get? How can I help you get that? And then also really challenging you to think about the return you want that you're coming to get. And I think when the coach is all in and feels responsible and the client is all in and feels responsible, we create a lot of magic together. And all of you are amazing examples of that. So I really wanted to talk about that and share tips to other investors out there who are going to be listening. So first, I want to hear from all of you what your return on investment being a part of this mastermind has been. Who has some things to share?
I can talk about my return.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about it.
Tell us everything.
So when I joined the mastermind, I knew I wanted to grow my pie making and baking business. And I was at a point where I was really ready to grow. And I was also exhausted. So I kept sort of toying with the idea of growing and maybe hiring someone to help me figure out like how to grow. But I didn't want to hire it out. I wanted to figure it out. And meanwhile, I'm working like 70 hours a week making pies and my body is tired. And I also know that I'm a huge fan of Samantha's, and my pie making business, nothing is online. It's a physical product. So I desperately wanted to be part of the mastermind, and I knew I could get my return on my investment as long as she told me that it would be okay. I had to get like her permission. Like, is it okay if I apply? Because I think I can learn something from you on this. And you have to tell me that you think I could learn something too. And of course you said yes.
Yeah, I remember you DMing me and being like, is this okay?
Yeah, can I apply even though I don't fit your criteria at all? So even with a physical product, my year-to-date sales have been $116,893, which is amazing. Last year, I just barely broke 120,000. So for me, this is a significant thing. My mastermind to date total, just under $70,000. And remember, the investment last time was $10,000. So I think that's a pretty good return.
Yeah, and it's been 3 months.
Yeah, and time. I would say the other huge return for me was my body was just breaking down tired because I was just cooking and working all the time. Plus, I have a husband and a house that I'm running, and I have 3 little kids. And I'm running this farm because my husband's away at work right now. So the other thing is that I actually figured out, through working through the mastermind, how to get some time and peace and like patience and all the good stuff. Like I figured out how to get some of that back. And that may have been more valuable than the cash.
Yeah, I think so. I remember how you felt when you came to the mastermind And it was like, this is the first thing we have to work on. Like, who even cares about the money? But your first month in was like a 20K month, right? So it was like they came hand in hand, which was so great.
Yeah, I took more time off in that first month than I'd ever taken off since the birth of the business, which was just over 3 years ago. And it was my biggest month.
So amazing.
Crazy.
I love that. And I love that you just like owned, like, I don't think that I fit your criteria, but I want to join anyway.
Yeah.
And I think then you've become such a good example of like everything that I teach is totally applicable to a product business. And now it's like, oh, yeah, I can help any kind of business. Like, it doesn't have to just be online. It's just so fun to
Yes.
see you apply those concepts and be like, this is just universal truth for all business.
Well, I felt like I came so that I could figure out how to grow it myself. And you gave me, I've thought about this a lot. You gave me a lens for seeing things as they really were as a CEO and seeing the business in a different light. And you gave me tools that I was able to apply myself. And it was so much better than bringing in some consultant to do it for me. So much better.
Yeah, I actually just recently did a podcast episode about delegating our CEO duties. And it's very similar to this, like hiring a consultant versus somebody giving you a lens to evaluate and strategize and think as the CEO. I learned that lesson this year and talk about it on that episode, but I love that you brought that up. So, so good. Kate, were you up next?
Yeah. So this is actually my second round of the mastermind. And when I had joined in that first round, my husband had just quit his job. And so for me, investing in the mastermind was a way to ensure that I would have stable and consistent business growth. And it really has been. I mean, Samantha knows I was like frantically checking my numbers right before we started to get like the full picture. But in this round of the mastermind, I've made just shy of 40,000. And for context, I made about 44,000 all of 2020. So that's in about what, 3.5 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's a pretty insane return. And then also just kind of like what Adrienne was saying about learning how to put on that CEO cap and how to navigate my business. I tend to be a little bit more in the flow and like doing what feels good. And I feel like, Sam, you have given me a little bit more structure to help give my business like the boundaries it needs so that it can grow and do it in like a really stable and long-term way.
I love that. I think it's so important to talk about both pieces. And I love that both of you have brought that up, that it's not just like making so much money as quickly as we can, and that's our only focus, but there really is this like whole life kind of picture of, well, what's happening with your family? What's happening with you? How do you feel? What's your time look like? What are the other things that you're facing right now? And how can we make the business work within that instead of just like pretending that you don't actually have a life?
Yeah. Well, and I homeschool my 3 kids and we have a life that's kind of unconventional and we travel. And so I can't work on my business 24/7. And that approach just doesn't resonate with me. So knowing that that's not your approach either, I think, like you say, this is where hustle dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is very grounding for a mama.
I love it. Raeanne, how about you?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, the return on the investment. What I did before I even made the decision to invest in the mastermind is I went through and I made a list. This is how my brain works, of what I would need to accomplish in order to feel like I got a return on my investment in doing something like a mastermind at that level. And I remember you came into our pre-work room before we started and you said, okay, you all have a list. Now get everything done before you come into the mastermind so that you can get the most value out of the time together. And what I realized in that moment is that I knew what I needed to do. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't make those choices. When I joined the mastermind, it was already at 5-figure months. I had a pretty successful business. And the value for me was in that time resource and trusting my own voice and knowing what I needed to do to be successful and move forward. And so the return on the investment with the mastermind is and continues to be really about the fact that I've not only increased my revenue this year, but also have so much more time, and I'm so much less overwhelmed, and I have so much more space in my life to be a mom and a business owner. And I'm making decisions and just checking things off of lists in ways that I couldn't do before, and really still working on it, but learning to trust my own voice and inner wisdom. And that is completely invaluable to me as a CEO. I feel like a CEO now, where before I felt like I was kind of just looking at a list and not really knowing what I was going to do next. And so I love the coaching model that you use, Samantha, very masterfully pulling out of your clients, not really tolerating someone wanting to know what to do next. You pull it and draw it right out of them. You also know when to interrupt. You're going to move in this direction, but maybe you should think about this direction too. So it's a blend of coaching and mentoring that allows you to be able to feel like you made the choice, and you did make the choice because it's coming from your own voice, which builds confidence, which is another nonlinear return on my investment, is more confidence. I definitely have above and beyond returned what I put into this.
I love that. I think that piece about confidence is so important.
Yeah.
Something I'm always thinking about is how I can teach you all how to really think as the CEO of your business, take control of your results, understand how you do that, and understand that it's all within your control, and to really own that. Like, I never want to be the leader of your business. Like, I really want to empower all of you to lead your businesses in a way that resonates with you. And I think that confidence piece is so important. So thanks for sharing that. I love that.
Yeah, I have one other thing that is popping in too, is that that list that I had that I couldn't complete in the pre-work, there was about 2/3 of it done by the end of the live event, because you gave us a group of tools to use that could get you on the other side of some of those decisions right away. Things like the essentialism and the thought work and scaling really gave me what I needed to realize, I already know what I need to do. And so that live event was incredibly valuable. I remember a lot of women walking away saying like, oh, well, there's my investment. That 3 days was enough in and of itself to return on the investment. And I would say I was probably one of those people too.
I love that. I completely think that way about the live event. When we plan it, it's like we're putting the entire value of the whole thing in this event. Like, if this is all they got, they would feel like it was an amazing over deliver for what they paid. So that's like always my team's strategy, planning that event, and mine when I write all the curriculum and everything. And then it's just so fun that it's like, oh, that's just the first couple days of this mastermind, and we still have 6 months.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, Darlynn, what's up?
Well, I definitely made more money for sure than in the mastermind, and I can go through my numbers. But what I did when I made the decision was I thought, what was inevitable without the mastermind, and ran those numbers. And it was, having a 120K year, 10K months was kind of felt inevitable to me. And then I asked myself, well, what would be possible with the mastermind in this round? And just having that question opened up to me that I could have a 200K year, and thinking, well, if that was possible and actually happened, then 10K would be not a very big investment compared to the return, right? And it does feel inevitable, even now sitting here in August and looking at, I'm at 92,000 for the year. And it just feels inevitable that I'll do 200. And I think that self-concept, and just by making the decision to join, I became a 200K coach before I even had a single bit of information about the mastermind or coaching or anything. And in that live event, I became $1 million coach. And that is the belief that I can have $1 million business is, however many rounds I go and invest, it's like the big vision of my business is possible. And I think that is an amazing gift to have from joining a mastermind and up leveling to that degree so quickly. I'm not like there in tools and skills and clients and all of that, but I can feel it. I can see it being possible. And when I think about having that large of a business, I think about all the families that I can help. And like, I love that you constantly bring in what's your big vision, what's your why, because the money isn't enough to motivate, at least me personally. It's just not what I'm chasing. It's like the service and being in service. And I'm sure there are lots of coaches out there that teach you how to make money. And I love that you keep always reminding us that we have a bigger picture. We have a reason that we do this work, and anchoring us back into that vision and that why. And that has grown immensely, like seeing my group program having 5,000 women in it, and thinking about all the families that will be impacted and the generations that will change because of my willingness to do this work. It like shivers my whole body. Yeah.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you said that the decision is what made you a 200K coach. Because I think that's so true. Like, you had to be willing to see yourself at the level of that goal to make that move.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's such an important piece. If you don't believe that that's possible for you, or if you're not willing to take action from the possibility of it, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a powerful way of looking at it and describing it. So good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to hear from everybody, like, what do you think has been the like secret sauce maybe for you of getting this return? So I always think that I always want to be the best leader for you, coach for you. But at the end of the day, I'm only ever a circumstance to you. You aren't my puppets. I can't control you. Sometimes I'm like, I wish that I could be the puppet master. It would be easier for us all. But that's not how it works. And I can't be the one who's in your business. So there's only so far that my influence can go. And so much is for you to pick up and apply and implement and run with. And I really want to give a lot of credit to all of you for doing that, for taking what was presented, what was offered to you, and applying it and grappling with it, implementing it, doing the hard things. Because a lot of that isn't easy. Like, yeah, you get coached and you're like, okay, I think I know what to do, but like, that's not easy a lot of the time. So I want to hear from you. What were maybe those thoughts that you had that really allowed you to do that?
This is Darlynn. I was on the drive home from the airport after the mastermind. I was getting off the freeway to go to my house. And I had this thought of, what if I could just let it be easy? And just trust the process, and just do the things and like let it be easy. One of the parts there was raising my rate. That was what I kept going back and forth, feeling so uncomfortable. And it was like, I'm just going to decide that I'm going to do whatever you told me to do, because you were a little bit puppety in that one moment when you're like, just do this. Just tell me what my new rate was going to be. And then I was like, what? Okay. And then I really was like, I'm just going to do whatever Samantha says, and I'm going to let it be easy. And I have had a little bit of mind drama in the time, but I've really just keep choosing to believe that it's okay, that there's not a problem, and coming for coaching and getting through those, mind stuck moments. And that thought of like letting it be easy has really taken a lot of the spin out for me, and just trusting you and trusting the process. Yeah.
That's so good. I love that. I think also the way that you were saying, like, trusting me, trusting the process, I think that there is so much power in that. We were just talking about this the other day of like having a process, having a mentor that stays consistent Like you're not changing the variables.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's your approach to building your business, then you have to face the facts that the thing that you need to change, that's the problem in the situation, is your thoughts.
Yeah.
Like in that moment where it's like, okay, I've committed to this process, this mentor, this is the next step for me. The drama here is my thoughts about raising the rate, and that's my work. It's not like questioning the process or the decisions. And when you keep that consistency, it just highlights where that work is. And I think it allows you to grow so much faster.
Yeah, for sure. Because if I'm second guessing my coach, then I'm spending a ton of time not thinking about my business. I'm thinking about my decision that I made 3 months ago. And thinking about future masterminds really is like, how many times am I going to redecide to choose you as my coach? I actually would like to no longer make that decision. I just want to be all in all 4 years, 5 years, whatever, and just be done. And I've come to that place the last couple of weeks. Like, nope, this is what I do. I work with Samantha. That way, I can't think, oh, this other coach will help me, this other process, I need this, I need that. It's just deep, deep trust in you, in me, in my decision to trust you in the first place, and then letting it all play out from there. And again, letting it be easy. Like, why do I need to make it dramatic of whether I should keep re-upping or whatever? It's like, no, let's just make it be easy. Yes. Yeah.
I love it. It can totally be easy. I love that thought of like, what if this could just be easy?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I feel like things are really hard or really complicated, I always come back to that thought. It's like, okay, I'm making this way harder than it needs to be. That's just what I always assume. If it feels hard, it must be me. I'm the problem. So how can it be easy? And I think that that's a great thought. And I agree about making the decision. I know I said on the most recent mastermind call, I think it was, where it was just like, time spent waffling on a decision is time not spent making money in your business. You need to just decide and go all in and commit with your decision, and then get back to money making.
Yeah. Love it.
So good. Okay. Who else has a thought to share on how they did it? Yeah, Kate.
Okay, so when I first joined the mastermind, I think I had this thought, Samantha, that you were going to just like tell me exactly how I should do my business and like my approach and who I'm speaking to, like all of those little nitty-gritty details of my business. And I think what has helped me to get a return on my investment is really doubling down on my own self-concept and becoming the person who has the results she desires, and that I am the one who is creating them with your guidance. And so I think you had asked us at one point, I remember journaling on it about like, how would I be showing up from my 500K self? And it's that embodiment of visualizing and seeing who it is I'm becoming, trusting that it's inevitable because I've got the tools and I've got the resources, and then deciding to show up as her in this moment. And I think too, also just the energy of the other women, it has normalized for me, like, oh, she just had a 30K month. Okay, like this is available for me too. And being willing to take on other people's thoughts that I see are empowering them in their business and trying them on for myself has just been one of the ways that I feel like has been so empowering for getting my return on this investment.
I think it's so valuable being in the group and seeing those thoughts, because I think really the difference between you and that other person who's making more than you, who's making what you want to make, is what they're thinking that you're not thinking. So if you can like figure out and mine, like, okay, what are her thoughts that are making that happen? Because that's what I want. It's so valuable
Yes.
to be able to have that.
Yeah. And I think too, like also seeing that the woman who's earning 30K or 50K, she has drama too.
Mm-hmm.
So it also normalizes for me both sides of the brain. Like she's thinking really powerful thoughts about herself, and I can do that too. But also, brain drama is normal, and that's just part of the process that we all have to deal with.
Yeah, that's so true. I think what seems surprising just from the feedback I get in the mastermind is how much all of you really enjoy hearing about my drama. Like I feel like I'm pretty unfiltered in the mastermind. Like I just really let you see the real me and some of the thoughts that I have not necessarily cleaned up yet, or maybe I have, but then I describe the situation before the cleanup so that you can see like even at $1 million there's still drama, there's still doubts, there's still limits, struggles, all the things are still available at every level because we take our human brain with us. I think that a lot of us kind of come into business thinking that we have to kill all of those things. Like all of that needs to stop. We can't have any drama. We can't have any self doubt or anything like that to be successful. And it's not true.
I think one of the biggest shifts for me was the permission that you gave us to no longer make choices, but also goals based on what we've already done in the past, but to really start to embrace what's possible in the future. And this has been a big focus. It's about that long-term vision, that long-range forecast, that big goal, the long-term mission for the company and for the service to the clients, but also the possibility with the business revenue. Another one was around, I mean, you both spoke to it already on some level. There's this commitment to thought work where this is something I obviously teach to my clients as well. And to know that when you get time back, you still have to manage your thoughts, right? Like you don't get a pass, that you're still going to have those negative thoughts. You're still going to have to work through and manage your own expression experience of the business. And so making a commitment to it and having consistent reminders from you, Samantha, but also the peers that this is the work as a CEO has been a shift for me as well. The thought work in between the time that we have our group coaching calls and the thought work in between the time that we're working with our clients is really making a huge difference. And one that I'm working on now that I'm enjoying is really sort of chasing the fun around things and embracing the fact that this is supposed to be and can be fun too. It's not always hard work. Doesn't, again, ease and simplicity are an option as well as fun. And so playing and being curious, I love that word that you offered me recently, like get curious about it. It doesn't have to be so serious all of the time. And being able to embrace that has been fun for me.
Good.
Yeah.
I love that. I think you're so right about the thought work. I think it just becomes more and more important. Something I experienced growing to this level is that I think that I thought somewhere along the way, I'm just going to have this like fully evolved brain. There's not going to be a lot of drama. I'm not going to have to do a lot of self-coaching. Like I'm just going to like create all the results I want, no problem, because I already did the hard work on my brain.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. At least not at $1 million, but I don't think it actually ever does. And it's such a good point. Like, yeah, you still have to do that work. It's so important. And the more you do it, the faster you grow towards whatever goal you have, whether it's time, whether it's money, both, whatever it is. That really is the pace setter, that thought work that you're doing. So good. And of course, you know, I'm into fun. I love that that's a takeaway for you. I felt like when you were talking about it, like your face lit up.
It
just
works.
seemed like you were having fun. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Adrienne.
I've been thinking about this, and the way I guaranteed my return, I would say, is that I just was not willing to not be determined to get better. I was completely determined to get great at coaching and great at making pie and great at running a business. I was absolutely not willing to stop trying until I was. And so every time my brain got in the way and was trying to pull a fast one and say like, no, you're not going to, you're never going to be able to be good at this, or you're never going to succeed. I mean, I wanted to be a good cook from when I was a very young age, and I don't have the education to back that up. I am very highly educated, but I have no culinary training at all. And I have chefs that shop for me now. And it's because I was not willing to stop trying. And it's not like I said I wasn't willing, like I wasn't going to give up. No, I wasn't willing to stop trying. And then the other thing I would say is that I came into that mastermind room thinking I was so in complete awe and admiration of every woman there, like every single woman there. It was like, oh my gosh, it feels like I do not belong here. Like these women all built businesses with their fabulous brains. And here I am with my pie, like, what am I doing here? And I just told myself, like, I belong and I'm going to bring my big mess of doubts and just lack of confidence and low self-esteem on all the days that were bad days and just dump it on Samantha and ask for coaching when I needed it. And I committed to do that. And, everyone on this call knows that I have done that. And it has made all the difference. Just being able to like see myself in the room, like I belong here, and just try and fail as many times as it took until I was amazing at something. And still, even when I'm amazing, I would just keep trying to get better and then get coaching even when I don't even know what I'm asking for.
Yeah. I love that determination. I think that is really like the only thing that you need. Like, if you can't have anything else, you can only have one ingredient for a business, just that willingness to never give up and keep going until you figure it out. I remember when I was at the very beginning of my business, like that is what got me through. Just like if I just keep repeatedly failing, eventually I find success. Like I just decided to believe there's a limited number of fails that I can find, and then I'll just stumble upon the right way to do it eventually. I think that's just really powerful. Like if you don't give up, you will get where you want to go. And you've been such a good example. And the belonging thing, yeah, you all know I have a whole onboarding video about belonging. It comes up. I find like in business, in masterminds, all of our stories come up like from middle school and high school, and all our past childhood baggage, particularly about belonging, can come up in a group like this with such incredible, high-powered, amazing, accomplished women. And it's just my challenge for everybody to just never question your belonging. Like if you're in the room, Samantha says you belong, and don't question it. You belong. Okay. The next question, this is the last question for everyone. I really want to know what advice you have for people who will be coming in new, or just people who are still kind of figuring out like how to create their own return on investment, how that works. I think a lot of times we come into a space or a program like this not really understanding how we can create our own results, how we could guarantee our own return. We haven't proven that to ourselves yet. And so I know that there's a lot of expectation around, just like Kate, you were talking about, like, hopefully Samantha tells me just like all the things and I'll just go do those things. So I would love to hear your advice for someone coming in on how to do what you have done. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I have a favorite thought that I have held on to through all of my rounds. And I've heard this somewhere else. I obviously did not come up with this, but the idea of just getting my money's worth, getting my investment back, and being committed to showing up in that way. And what I see, like within our own group, and then also within my own group coaching program, is that there's this fear of being annoying, right? Like you're afraid to ask too much for help, or like, I should have had this figured out. I should know by now. But in reality, the mastermind is the place where you can come and be vulnerable. And Samantha has coached me on this a few times, of being able to come in and share where you are getting stuck. And I think it's that commitment to, one, getting your money's worth and showing up and being willing to be vulnerable, that is probably the best advice I can give to someone who's considering doing this, because that will serve you so well.
I totally agree with that. I think that's so good. And when you said it, it just made me think of like your whole journey, and it's just so great to
Yeah.
see.
Yes, I
You've grown so
agree.
much.
Thank you.
The advice I would have is if you could be at a point in your business now where you are on a path of growth, which is where I was for sure. Like I was definitely growing, but being in this container and not just getting the own coaching, but I would say even hearing the coaching from everyone else in the group and like getting the inspiration and the training from Samantha and all of the tools, it acts like a slingshot to propel you faster, so much faster than you could ever sort of comprehend before you come into the room. So I would say my advice is to know what you're coming for. So I knew specifically, like, I want to make more money and I want to work less. Like, there's no question. That's what I want. That's what I'm coming for. Know what you're coming for, and then you'll be able to just get it. And you'll get so much more in the process. Like, it will just be such a gift that just keeps on giving. And the other thing that I would say is just the act of even applying for or get accepting for the mastermind. I feel like it flipped a switch for me, and I suspect it's true for others. I leaned into my business in a way that, like, I had so much more bravery in my business when I applied. It already started to propel even before we came to the live event. And I would suspect that just making that kind of investment in yourself, I think it just automatically starts to propel you on this journey. Like the second you apply, the whole thing just acts like a slingshot to propel you forward. And it's really even not just about the cash. So many other components of knowing what you're coming for are possible with joining the mastermind. So I wouldn't hesitate personally. And I'm definitely joining again.
I love it. What I thought of when you were talking about even applying and like making the payment being something that propels you forward, I think you are choosing to believe something about yourself and your business and your future when you make that decision, and you're taking action from that choice. Like you're implementing that decision from that belief system. It really truly transforms who you are. And I'm not like, there's this like school of coaches where it's like, oh, you just pay the money and that's the transformation, and then they're like light on the delivery because you already got your transformation. I don't feel that way at all. I really take very seriously what I teach you and how I show up and what the delivery looks like. But I think you're so right that there's a shift in you and what you're claiming for yourself in that moment of deciding to apply and to join. That is so powerful. I love that you said that. All right, who's next?
Well, I actually, my advice is similar to what you're talking about here, like your future self. And I was thinking about when I first started working with you one-on-one a long time ago. It's not that long, but
it feels so long. It feels like it was like a decade.
It was like 18 months ago when you asked me how much I wanted to make. And I was like, what? Like, I had no idea that I had the power over that I should set a goal, that I should work towards a goal. And I remember in 2019 at Design 2020, you asked, how much do you want to make in 2020? And I was like, $60,000. It felt completely ridiculous because I had only ever made $9,000 a year in my business. And I have been in business since 2012. So it's a lot of 9K years there.
Yeah, I love that.
So when I think about my brain wants to do what's probable, or, I love running the numbers and seeing like, okay, if it works on the paper, if I can like get this number of clients at this around whatever. But what you do is that you ask me what I really want, and not just what's possible, but what do you really want to make? Who do you really want to become? And when you're making this decision about the mastermind and you haven't been coached, maybe there's someone who hasn't been coached by you, or has, but it's like, who is your future self? What do they want you to do right now? The thing you really want, the amount you want to make, or the number of people you want to serve. whatever that motivation is, what does she want you to do right now? And I know future me wants me to sign with you. Like, she's like, yeah, of course. And I think that would be a great question for anyone listening to ask themselves, is like, what does future you want you to do right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a good question. I think that all the time. I have all these like scary feeling decisions that I make on a regular basis, and this is always how I make them. I always think about future me, me that already did that launch, me that already made that money or signed that number of people into that program. It's like, what does that version of me think of this decision? And that version of me is always like, this is not scary. This is no big deal. Just do that thing.
Yeah.
That's your next right step.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you do really well, is that's what you teach us to do, how you teach us to think. And yeah, it's transformational.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, Raeanne.
I know there will be some of you introverts who will be making the decision to not join a mastermind or a group because you believe that you don't do well in a mastermind or a group. And there will be others who do join the group who try to sink in the background and not say anything. And so my first advice to make you feel safe, introverts, is to know that there's this really cool thing that happens in a mastermind in a group that I hadn't experienced until I did this with you, Samantha. And that was that there's this experience of other women speaking for you on behalf of you and giving you a voice without you ever having to speak up. So it's really nice as an introvert to be able to have someone ask the very thing that you were thinking and questioning within yourself about your business and to not have to say anything. So that's really cool to be able to watch someone else be coached. Someone else can be coached right now. Someone else can be vulnerable right now. And I can get the value without the energy that it takes for an introvert to speak up sometimes. So that's the first piece, introverts, is that you will have this cool experience where you can be coached without having to be coached. With that said, there is also this other part, introvert, that you want to embrace as well, which is to know when to speak up and to know when your voice needs to be heard and when you're not getting your question answered, and that maybe you can produce value for yourself and the group. And to take the risk and be courageous anyway, even though it's super uncomfortable. You will be caught in this group of women. This is a very supportive, loving group of women that really do want you to be successful. And so knowing that you say something, it will be received in a positive way. And so really trying to pull yourself out of your comfort zone. Even the act of the investment propels you. The act of joining a mastermind as an introvert propels you out of your comfort zone in a way that teaches you different ways of being with human beings and in your business. And so it gives you a platform to play that is safe. And that is one thing that I've really valued that has helped me also get a return on my investment, is sometimes just knowing when my body, mind can't speak up, and also knowing when I need to. And playing and practicing in the safe space has made it possible.
That's so good. And I think you saying that as somebody who came in who hadn't been in Mama to CEO before, who hadn't ever worked with me before, who really, I don't think you knew that much about me. How long had you even followed me?
I didn't.
You didn't. You just didn't.
I heard about you, and then I applied.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, "Here's Samantha," and you were like, "I guess I'll join that mastermind."
I was ready to shift. Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. So you came in with like, I don't really know who this person is, and created such an incredible experience for yourself. That's so cool. And I love what you said about being an introvert. I'm a little bit more in between introvert and extrovert, but I am so much better at receiving my coaching from other people's coaching than from getting coached. So when you said that, I was like, yes, that is so true.
Yeah.
I usually take so many notes from other people's coaching and just gain so much from it. So there's so much value in that. Okay. I want to give you each a space to share where people can find you, and we'll link up all the things in the show notes, but I think people will be curious about you. They might want to follow you, work with you. So Adrienne, let us know, where can they find you?
Okay. So if you don't live in Northern California, it will be hard to get a pie from me.
They will
However,
try.
my website is urbandreamerfarm.org. And it also has information about my coaching business there. You can find that on the resources page. If you know that you're interested in talking to me about coaching, or maybe you're trying to start a business or start a piece of your life that looks very different from what you were either educated in or trained for, or even what you're doing now, we should talk. And you can just reach me directly if you'd like to at hello@adrienneevitt.com.
Amazing. Okay, Darlynn.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Darlynn Childress, or learn more about my programs at calmmamacoaching.com. And I spell mama just like Samantha. So CALM, calm, and then MAMA coaching. Yeah, I have a group program called Calm Mama School, and it's a lifetime access program similar to Mama the CEO. And in that program, you get to become the mom that you want to be and really create that relationship you want with your kids and have that peaceful home and feel good and like enjoy motherhood and not make it such a difficult grind.
I love
invite
the
you to join
parallel
Yeah.
between your thought of like, I could let this be easy about your business. I feel like that's what you're teaching moms. This could just be easy.
Yeah, it really does not need to be so complicated and difficult. Yeah. And it's like the relationship is the most important thing. So if we focus on that, everything else is easy. Yeah. And I think with business, if you focus on service, everything else becomes easy in many ways. So
Yes.
same. Yeah.
So good.
So yeah.
All right, Raeanne.
You can find me, my website is raeannelacatina.com, and I'm aware that that is a unique name. So it's RAEANNELACATENA.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, and if it's something you're interested in learning more, how to balance and create harmony at home and also professionally as you're growing your business.
So good. Kate.
Yes. Okay. So you can find me on Instagram at Happier in Motherhood. And I'm actually in the messy middle of rebranding my website. So if you want to look there, you're going to have to go to thestreamlinedlife.com. But as my name kind of indicates, I love helping women to create lives that they feel really excited to wake up to. I do a lot of energy work and embodiment and the mindset as well. So if this is speaking to you, definitely reach out.
I love it. And I feel like what people don't know that I enjoy about your Instagram is that you travel full time. And
Yes.
I can't get over it. I feel like I bring it up all the time, and maybe it's just normal and boring to you, but I'm like, oh my gosh, she just drives around in an RV, you guys.
And thank goodness you bring it up, because whenever I start feeling, like whiny and stuck, you're like, Kate, your life is a miracle.
It
Like,
is.
oh yeah, that.
Yes, I love it.
Me
All
too.
right. Well, thank you all. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom that you shared.
Well, thanks for having us. It was really,
Thank you.
really great. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Samantha.
If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.